అకౌంట్ నెంబర్ అయితే మీ దానికి రాదు సార్ ఇలా ఫస్ట్ ఇంకేమి రాదు సార్ పేరు ఉందా చూడండి ఒకసారి పేరు కనబడితే కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను
కుమార్ సార్ సైలెంట్ సార్ వచ్చింది
అకౌంట్ నెంబర్ అన్ని తన దగ్గర చేసుకున్నారు సార్
Good morning. Welcome to the phase 2 reactions of xenobiotic metabolism. You know pretty well the xenobiotic metabolism involves the metabolization of the foreign compounds that enter the body. So we know pretty well that it is inevitable that we have to take so many products into our body. For example, the chemicals like drugs. So we have to take some or other medicine for any reason, isn't it? So we cannot deny that we cannot take medicine. So we have to take medicines. All the medicines are not so active as and when they enter the body. They should be made active by some reactions, and only those reactions will facilitate the drug action in our body. That is one useful purpose. And you know, some medicines like cyclophosphamide, an anti-cancer drug, aryl halides, aryl sulfates, all these are the active groups in the anti-cancer drugs. And these things will cause a lot of damage to the body. Whatever may be the useful effect on the cancer, treatment of cancer, they will cause most of the dangerous things to the metabolism in the bone. So the bone marrow will be depressed to greater extent, and they will cause more of the potent further cancer transformations in the cells of the body. So aryl sulfates, aryl halides, cyclophosphamide, other drugs, anti-cancer drugs will have these problems. So these things should be taken care in the second phase of xenobiotic metabolism. You know pretty well in the first phase, reduction, oxidation, hydroxylation, all these things are the reactions in the first place. Now you see the second phase. So in the phase 1, the xenobiotic or waste metabolite in the diet or in the peripheral circulation formed during the active metabolism, they should be undergoing reduction, oxidation, hydroxylation, or hydrolysis in phase 1 reactions. And now a primary metabolite will result. And this primary metabolite in the phase 2 reactions will undergo further reactions of conjugation, sulfation, methylation, glucuronidation. Otherwise it's called as glucuronidation. So now they will produce secondary metabolite, and this secondary metabolite is definitely suitable for excretion from the body. So most of the times a primary metabolite, we can take it for granted that it is polar substance, water soluble substance, but it's not always so. Sometimes it may need to be converted into more polar in the phase 2 reactions, and then only it will become water soluble absolutely, and then it can be excreted through the urine or excreted through the liver into the bile. So this is the general scheme of xenobiotic detoxification. So conjugation is the first reaction. Conjugation means the chemical combination of one compound with another compound is conjugation. So in the conjugation processes, glucuronic acid in the body is the prime one, and glutathione is the next one. We can take it for granted that the glutathione is the primary one, and it occupies the first place in detoxification of xenobiotics through conjugation in the second phase. Sulfate is another one. glycine is the most sincere. You know pretty well about the glycine. It is the smallest of all the amino acids, having only 3 components, isn't it? And cysteine, you know pretty well about the magic power of cysteine in having sulfhydryl group that acts as the active xenobiotic product. And acetate, you know pretty well about the acetate. And then glutamine, that occupies the major role in most of the removal of waste products from the body. And all these things are known to the human beings right from the days of Ayurveda, before the advent of this modern medicine, where the glutamine, acetate, glycine, glutathione, all these things are replaced, and even glucuronic acid is in utilization in good olden days, but not in the same names. They are existing in the other products that are available widely in the Ayurvedic practice. So glucuronic acid, topper, glutathione, sulfate, glycine, cysteine, acetate, glutamine. These are the compounds you have to remember. All the 7 compounds you have to remember. They will help very much during the process of conjugation to turn a product, a less polar substance into a polar one, a toxic substance into non-toxic substance. So these are the things you have to remember, the 7 products: glucuronic acid, glutathione, sulfate, glycine, cysteine, acetate, glutamine. So in phase 2 metabolism, by conjugation with an endogenous substance, we have to drive it into more polar water-soluble substance. So the chemical reactions involve glucuronidation or glycosidation, sulfation, methylation, acetylation, amino acid conjugation through glycine, and fatty acid conjugation through acetate. And the more polar water-soluble substances can readily be excreted from the urine, or into the bile it can be excreted. So endogenous conjugation substance will be converted into activated conjugation substance, and then they will conjugate, and they will be become water soluble, and they will become inactive, and they will become non-toxic, and to excretory product, either through bile or through the urine, it can be eliminated from the body. So conjugation with the D-glucuronic acid is known as glucuronidation or glucuronidation. Conjugation with amino acids like glycine. Conjugation with glutathione. You know pretty well, glutathione is gamma-glutamyl cysteanyl glycine, a tripeptide. A small peptide, tripeptide, is of utmost importance for the body. That is glutathione. Gamma-glutamyl cysteanyl glycine. And conjugation with glutamine, another amino acid. Conjugation with methyl group through methylation, methyl donor, you know pretty well. Conjugation with sulfuric acid, sulfation, you know about PAPs. Conjugation with acetic acid, acetylation. All these things are most important. So conjugating agents, glucuronic acid, and the active form of glucuronic acid is UDP glucuronic acid. And sulfate, you have the PAPs. And then cysteine, glutathione. Acetic acid, acetyl coenzyme A. And conjugation reactions, glucuronide conjugation, glucuronyl transferase, acetylation, N-acetyl transferase, the enzymes. So you have to remember what are the enzymes that come into play in particular type of conjugation reaction. In glucuronide conjugation, we need the help of glucuronyl transferase enzyme. In acetylation reaction of conjugation, we need the help of N-acetyl transferase. And in sulfation, in the conjugation reaction, we need the help of sulfotransferase enzyme. And through the methylation conjugation reaction, if we want to continue the xenobiotic metabolism, we need the help of methyl transferase. So amino acid conjugation is a direct process. Now, overview of conjugation reactions is given here. The glucuronidation, the reagent is UDP glucuronate, and the groups in xenobiotic that are acted upon by this glucuronidation through UDP glucuronate enzyme are OH groups, COOH groups, and NH2 groups. So sulfation groups, we have PAPs. We have OH group, NH2 groups, and SH groups. Methylation, S-adenosyl methionine removes hydroxyl groups and NH2 groups. Through acetylation, acetyl-CoA removes OH groups and NH2 groups. By GSH, glutathione is the reagent, and we have to remove aryl halogens, alkyl halogens, anti-cancer drugs. By amino acid, we have the glycine and taurine. We can remove the carboxyl group in the xenobiotic product. Now glucuronic acid. Conjugation with glucuronic acid is the most common of all the phase 2 reactions. Active form of glucuronic acid is otherwise known as UDP glucuronic acid. It is produced in the uronic acid pathway that is taught to you in carbohydrate metabolism. The microsomal enzyme is UDP glucuronyl transferase. So it is existing in the microsomes of the liver microsomes. In the cell organelle, microsomal enzyme is UDP glucuronyl transferase. This will participate in the glucuronide formation. So glucuronidation, that is glucuronidation of bilirubin, is given here as an example. UDP glucose will be acted upon by UDP glucose dehydrogenase, taking the help of 2 NAD+, and finally it will be converted into UDP glucuronic acid and delivers 2 NADH from 2 NAD+. So the UDP glucuronic acid conjugates with the bilirubin under the influence of UDP glucuronosyl transferase. So that is the active enzyme. So that will be converted into, bilirubin will be converted into more soluble, more polar bilirubin monoglucuronide, and 1 UDP will be given. And this UDP glucuronic acid, in another step, conjugates with bilirubin monoglucuronide and converts it into more polar water-soluble bilirubin diglucuronide, and again UDP is given. So in 2 steps, bilirubin is converted into more and more water-soluble bilirubin diglucuronide. The first step is intermediate product bilirubin monoglucuronide. Second step is bilirubin diglucuronide, which is absolutely water-soluble and can be easily excreted, eliminated from the body. You know pretty well in the people who are born as premature children, there will be jaundice. So physiological jaundice is almost inevitable, and it will be faced by most of the children, newborn children. So during the process of delivery, we will milk the placenta cord. The cord will contain some amount of blood, and in order to give the full benefits of deriving the blood from the mother, the cord will be just milked by the gynecologist, and whatever blood that is present inside the cord will be pumped into the system of the baby. During the process of squeezing the cord to drive the blood into the body of the fetus, some of the cells will be hydrolyzed due to pressure, and this hydrolysis will unnecessarily produce large amounts of bilirubin, and hyperbilirubinemia will be surfacing like jaundice. So newborn jaundice is quite common, and mostly it can be due to the milking of the cord. So the cord should not be milked with a view to unnecessarily give the blood. We can just allow the passive transfer of whatever blood that is there. As long as the pulsations are there, we can wait, and after the pulsations in the cord ceases, then there is no fun in keeping it going on. It takes only just 1 minute or 2 minutes, not more than that. So we need not unnecessarily over anxiously milk the cord to drive the blood, more and more of the blood into the baby. And all said and done, the maturity of the liver is most important. And if the fetal liver is not mature, it cannot produce UDP glucuronosyl transferase in 2 phases to convert the bilirubin into monoglucuronide and diglucuronide. So for this, maturity of the fetal liver is important, and when the baby is born as an immature, premature child, we cannot have the facility of UDP glucuronosyl transferase to convert the bilirubin into monoglucuronide and diglucuronide. So bilirubin UGT can be induced by a number of clinically useful drugs. So when the child is not so eligible to have the own stocks of UDP glucuronosyl transferase, so then it can be induced by a number of drugs. So one of such drugs is phenobarbital. And this phenobarbital, the microsomal enzymes can be induced by phenobarbital. You know pretty well, phenobarbital is nothing but Gardinal. Gardinal is a sedative. So the people who take Gardinal are mostly the depressed fellows or the people who are having number of psychological problems for no clear answer for that. So they will be just douse themselves with a tablet of Gardinal, 30 milligrams. The Gardinal is available only as 30 milligrams. The number of tablets they are taking unnecessarily, and one benefit of taking them is it will induce the production of bilirubin UGT, UDP glucuronosyl transferase. So that is one baneful effect. And all said and done, any drug that is used to take as a tranquilizer or a sedative is almost habit forming, and that will cause a lot of psychological problems in future. And UDP glucuronic acid, I was telling you in the first phase that most of the compounds will undergo hydroxylation, isn't it? And here is one exception. Phenol. Phenol will not undergo hydroxylation reaction in the first phase. It will just enter the second phase, and directly UDP glucuronic acid will convert the phenol into phenyl glucuronide. So we have to remember, such a most highly potent, dangerous compound, chemical, phenol, will escape because in the first phase of hydroxylation is not possible for phenol. So there is no reaction that can hydroxylate phenols. So the phenols will directly undergo glucuronic acid, UDP glucuronic acid, will convert them into phenyl glucuronide. And benzoic acid, you know pretty well, is commonly added to the fruit pulps and fruit juices as a preservative to prevent the fungus growth. So fungal growth will unnecessarily damage. The shelf life of any fruit pulp or fruit juice will be damaged if we do not add benzoic acid to that. So this benzoic acid is a foreign compound, you know pretty well, that should be acted upon by glucuronic acid, and it will be changed into benzyl glucuronide. And bilirubin, just now I told you, UDP glucuronyl transferase will convert it into bilirubin monoglucuronide in the first phase, and another reaction, bilirubin diglucuronide will form. It's water soluble. And all the steroids, these steroids also sometimes will undergo direct glucuronic acid change, and the steroid glucuronide will form. The steroid glucuronide will be easily excreted through the urine and through the bile also. And all the amides will be converted into N-glucuronides. And these amides are rampantly utilized for storing the protein product and meat products when they are transporting it across the continents. So the things will be added with amides. And these amides are not so easily transported in the body, so it should be eliminated through glucuronic acid to form N-glucuronide. So these are all the useful servicing attitudes of UDP glucuronic acid. So conjugation with glucuronic acid is given as a short thing representing the formulas. UDP glucuronate, UDP glucuronate transferase is the enzyme that is present in the liver microsomes, and xenobiotic or a drug or other hydroxyl substance will be acted upon by this UDP glucuronide transferase, and finally it will be eliminated as UDP, and hydroxylation will completely transform it into water soluble substance. It will be entering the bile or urine. So conjugation with amino acids, the most important thing is glycine. You know pretty well, glycine is the smallest of all the, simplest of all the water soluble amino acid, and you know pretty well the physical properties, which is the sweetest of all the amino acids, glycine. So benzoic acid is conjugated with glycine to form hippuric acid. Hippuric acid is the common name, otherwise its chemical name is benzyl glycine. The benzoyl glycine or hippuric acid can be eliminated in the urine most easily. So benzyl coenzyme A plus glycine will be presenting as hippuric acid and coenzyme A. So benzoate coenzyme A and giving the glycine is added to give hippuric acid. So benzoic acid and glycine, benzoyl glycine or hippuric acid. Salicylic acid and glycine, salicylic acid. Cholic acid with glycine, glycocholic acid. And chenodeoxycholic acid plus glycine, chenodioxyglycocholic acid. Nicotinic acid and glycine, nicotinuric acid. So these are all the products that can be easily excreted from the body. And you know pretty well the baneful effects of these things, if they are allowed to stay in the body, we have to pay a long way. And conjugation with glutamine. Glutamine is another amino acid. So just like phenylacetic acid is conjugated with glutamine to form phenylacetyl glutamate. So phenylacetic acid with the glutamine will give phenylacetyl glutamate. Phenylacetyl glutamate is excreted through the urine very easily. That's why the mousy odor of the urine will be appreciated by the mother. So whenever they are having fever or any abnormal metabolic function, the conversion of phenyl ketones into phenylacetic acid will not be made possible, will not be continuing as usual. So it has to get the help of a glutamine, and only under the help of glutamine, the phenylacetic acid will be converted into phenylacetyl glutamine, which will be smelling, mousy odor, fishy odor, cat odor. All these odors will be present through the period of recovery from the fever. So ఈ ఫీవర్ వస్తే వీటి శరీరం నుంచి అదొక లాంటి వాసన వస్తుందండి అని వాళ్ళ తల్లి చెప్తూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. Then we have to take it for granted that the fellow is having some straining reaction during xenobiotic metabolism. Cysteine and glutathione. Glutathione as a detoxifying agent, GGT, gamma glutamyl transferase is the enzyme. Cysteine is derived from gamma glutamyl cysteine glycine, which is an active conjugating agent because it's having SH groups, sulfhydryl group. So this sulfhydryl group is the active one that will detoxify most of the aryl or aryl halides, epoxides, alkenes, and alkynes also. They will be detoxified by this manner. So SH group is most important. So GSH transferase will be converting the xenobiotic into reduced glutathione and then water soluble xenobiotic. So the acceptor will come, and GGT, gamma glutamyl transferase, will transfer it into cysteine glycine with xenobiotic. Gamma glutamyl acceptor will be always there. Cysteine glycine compound will be acted upon by the peptidase, and then the xenobiotic cysteine and glycine will result. And R-cysteine acetyl CoA, that is the xenobiotic in combination with the acetyl CoA, will be converted into mercapturic acid, through the action of N-acetyl transferase, and finally coenzyme A is derived. So conjugation with glutathione, that is the structure of glutathione. So glycine, cysteine, glutamate. These are the three amino acids together forming glutathione. So conjugation with glutamine is another important one. Phenyl acetate will be added to the glutamine, and then phenyl acetyl glutamine is the water soluble compound. And methylation is another genobiotic reaction in the phase 2 situation. So methyl group, that is CH3 group from S-adenosyl-methionine. S-adenosyl-methionine is otherwise known as active methionine. So it is used for the methylation of certain of the genobiotics. So this is catalyzed by an enzyme. For everything there should be an enzyme, that is methyl transferase. S-adenosyl-methionine plus one already hydroxylated genobiotic will be acted upon by the methyl transferase enzyme to form S-adenosyl homocysteine. So methionine will become homocysteine. S-adenosyl-methionine will finally get converted into S-adenosyl homocysteine, isn't it? Now sulfate. Sulfation reaction is another form of conjugation reaction. Active sulfate is the one that will play the vital role in sulfation reactions in the phase 2 reactions of detoxification. So 3' phosphoadenosine 5' phosphosulfate is otherwise known as PAPS, PAPS. So in the examinations, they have the tendency to ask you most commonly, what is PAPS? What do you know about sulfation reaction? What do you know about active sulfate? So you have to just give these three things. Sulfate or sulfation reaction is through the active sulfate. The active sulfate is otherwise known as 3'. We have to tell 3 మీద ఒక చిన్న డాష్ ఉంటే దాన్ని 3' అని ప్రొనౌన్స్ చేయాలి. అంటే 3' 5' అని అనకూడదు. సో 3' phosphoadenosine 5' phosphosulfate is otherwise known as PAPS or PAPS. So it participates in the conjugation reactions, and the enzyme is sulfotransferase enzyme. So this is the thing that is given here. So phenol under the influence of PAPS will be converted into phenoxysulfate ethereal sulfate. So phenol cannot be hydroxylated in the phase 1. So ultimately it has to wait for the reactions through conjugation with sulfate. That's the only way of getting eliminated. Some people who have no stable determination to survive the odd situations, they will just whatever that is available in the house, they will utilize to end up their life. And the most common thing that is available in the house is in the bathroom, phenol, isn't it? In washroom, phenol will be kept. So that is most dangerous. Just they will enter and lock themselves inside the washroom, and phenol will be taken and they will just drink. It is impossible to take even 1 drop of phenol into the mouth, but they are so determined and adamant. They want to end up by drinking phenol, and they will just take 2-3 gulps of phenol. That's all, there ends. And you know, the hydroxylation in phase 1 is not possible for phenol. So it has to be enter into the phase 2 reactions. And for that, the liver should pay a heavy penalty. And most of the times, by the time the liver sense it and jumps into action, the individual will be no more. He will die. And the liver will become so much edematous. Usually 1 kg, 1.5 kgs ఉంటే liver 2 kgs, 2.5 kgs కి enlarge అయిపోతుంటాయి అన్నమాట. When we do the post-mortem of the person who died by consuming phenol, we will find this enlarged liver, and it will have that phenol smell also when we smell the viscera and liver. So these are the sad things. Even in the sad things, if it happens to be, if the fellow is kind enough to consume only a little bit, few drops of phenol, then perhaps is enough to make him survive, make her survive. And throwing the phenol from the body as phenoxyl sulfate, that is ethereal sulfate. You know pretty well about the presence of ethereal sulfate in the urine when we are doing the analysis of normal and abnormal products of metabolism in the urine. So ethereal sulfate, you have done it. And skatol, indole and skatol are the two things that you know pretty well. So indole and skatol. Skatol will be acted upon by the PAPs, and it will be thrown out as skatol sulfate. And indoxyl will be acted upon by PAPs, and it will be converted into water-soluble indoxyl sulfate. And cyanide, you know pretty well, most dangerous. You know, Tamil Elam tigers, they used to always carry cyanide capsules, and under no circumstance they never allowed any of the fellows to question them or torture them to extract truth from them, where the people are hiding, what they are carrying, what are their action plans to attack the government and soldiers. None of these things can be extracted from them because they are so much determined. They will be tuned to that effect, and they will carry the cyanide. And this cyanide can be detoxified by thiosulfate, and all depends upon the speed with which the fellow is transported to the place where we can do the detoxification work through thiosulfate. And that's almost a great problem. So sodium thiocyanate is the end product of cyanide. And now the most important one, leave alone the hair rising problems that I have described you all the while. Now we have the most favorable one and easy one, most important one and useful one, acetylation. So conjugation with acetic acid is taking place with drugs like sulfanilamide, sulfa drugs. So in good olden days when we were the students, sulfa drug is the only drug that we used to apply for most of the problems. So అన్ని జబ్బులకి ఒకటే మందు సల్ఫానిలమైడ్, అన్ని జబ్బులకి ఒకటే మందు పెన్సిలిన్. సో మా రోజుల్లో పెన్సిలిన్ చాలా తక్కువ మందికి ఇచ్చేవారు. చాలా మట్టుకు సల్ఫా డ్రగ్స్ ఇస్తూనే ట్రై చేసి దాన్ని ప్రాసెస్ ఆఫ్ ట్రీట్మెంట్ని కంప్లీట్ చేసేవారు. And leave alone that sulfanilamide, we are no more depending on sulfanilamide. But all said and done, నిజం చెప్పాలి కదా ఏ మాటకి మాట, we cannot just కొట్టిపారేయడం సల్ఫానిలమైడ్ ఈ రోజుల్లో అవసరం లేదని కొట్టిపారేయడం మంచిది కాదు. ఎందుకంటే for people who are having recurrent urinary tract infection, for women and small children, they'll be going into a febrile reaction. పెద్ద ఫీవర్ వచ్చేసింది పాపం, గజగజగజ ఉనికిపోయి ఫీవర్ విత్ చిల్స్ అండ్ రైగర్స్ వచ్చేస్తాయి. ఫర్ సమ్ ఆఫ్ ద లేడీస్ అండ్ మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద స్మాల్ చిల్డ్రన్, 5 ఏళ్ళు 6 ఏళ్ళు 7 ఏళ్ళు లోపు పిల్లలకి రికరెంట్ యూరినరీ ట్రాక్ట్ ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ వచ్చేసి ఫీవర్ విత్ చిల్స్ అండ్ రైగర్స్ వచ్చేస్తాయి. ఒకసారి బాబోయ్ వాళ్ళకి మలేరియా వచ్చిందేమో అని ఎండమిక్ ఏరియాస్లో అనుమానం వచ్చేస్తాయి. సో ఇలాంటి వాటికి సల్ఫానిలమైడ్ is still the drug of choice. All said and done, that is one way. And the other thing is isoniazide. You know, isoniazide and para-aminosalicylic acid are the two bactericidal drugs for tuberculosis. So when the person is affected with tuberculosis, whether it can be pulmonary tuberculosis or bone tuberculosis or brain tuberculosis or peritoneal tuberculosis, tuberculous abdomen. So any of these things can be seen with the people, and you know pretty well in tropical countries like India, the exposure to tuberculosis is quite common. And if it happens to be some Western countries where the people are avariciously rich and they can have a very good life, they has to wait 2-3 years to see one case of tuberculosis. And the people come from foreign countries to India just to see the cases of tuberculosis, and they'll go back with so much of happiness and pleasure when I take them to the tuberculosis hospital, district tuberculosis hospital, to show them hundreds and thousands of cases suffering with tuberculosis. Even drug-resistant tuberculosis also will be seen in such institutions. So for foreign people, it's a facility to see one case after waiting for many number of years. But in India, it's quite common because we are working in tropical areas where the exposure to tuberculosis infection is quite common, and the ignorance of the people suffering with tuberculosis is quite rampant. వాళ్ళు మందు తీసుకోవాలి అంటే ఎందుకు తీసుకోవాలి, నేను బాగానే ఉన్నాను, నా దగ్గు తగ్గిపోయింది, మానేస్తాను, ఇంకా వేసుకోను అని కొంచెం భీష్మించి కూర్చుంటారు. ఆ భీష్మించి కూర్చోవడం వాళ్ళకి ప్రమాదం, because it will unnecessarily get converted into drug resistant tuberculosis. అలాగా ఫిట్స్ అండ్ అలా మాటమాటికి ఆపేయడం, మళ్ళీ విమ్స్ అండ్ ఫ్యాన్సీస్ పెట్టి మళ్ళీ స్టార్ట్ చేయడం, అది మంచి పద్ధతి కాదు. అన్నెసరీ డ్రగ్ రెసిస్టెన్స్ వచ్చేస్తాయి. సో అదే కాకుండా దే విల్ బి ట్రాన్స్మిటింగ్ ద ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ ఇన్ ద సొసైటీ, ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇఫ్ ఎ స్మాల్ చైల్డ్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఇన్ ద ఫ్యామిలీ. వాడు ఉండే కుటుంబంలో చిన్న చైల్డ్, ఒకళ్ళిద్దరు చిన్నపిల్లలు ఎలాగో ఉంటారు. ఆ ఇద్దరు చిన్నపిల్లలకి కూడా హీల్ బి డైరెక్ట్లీ డ్రాప్లెట్ ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ తగ్గుతున్నప్పుడల్లా ట్యూబర్క్యులోసిస్ ఆర్గానిజంని ట్రాన్స్మిట్ చేసేస్తాడు. సో వాడు కాపాడుకోవడం కోసం, ఇంటిలో ఉండే మిగతా వాళ్ళని కాపాడుకోవడం కోసం ఐసోనియాజైడ్ అండ్ పారామైనోసాలిసిలిక్ యాసిడ్ వేసుకోవాలి అనే పాయింట్ వాడికి నచ్చజెప్పేందుకు ఎవరు ముందుకు రావాలి? ఓన్లీ ద నాలెడ్జబుల్ స్టూడెంట్స్ లైక్ యూ షుడ్ డూ దట్ వర్క్. ఉంటారు బోల్డంతమంది మేల్ వర్కర్స్, ఫిమేల్ వర్కర్స్, మల్టీపర్పస్ health care individuals will be there. MPHW male, MPHW female, MPH health supervisor male, health supervisor female, మల్టీపర్పస్ హెల్త్ వర్కర్, ఇలాంటి వాళ్ళందరూ బోల్డ్ మంది ఉంటారు. కానీ వాళ్ళందరూ నోరు విప్పి ప్రతి చోట వెళ్ళి అలసిపోయేలాగా, ఊపిరి పోయేలా చెప్తారా? ఎంత చెప్పినా వాళ్ళకి అర్థమయ్యే చావదని చెప్పి ఊరుకుంటారు, చెప్పడం మానేస్తారు. ఇలా చెప్పడం మానేయడం ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్లో కుదరదు. ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్కి వచ్చినాక యు ఆర్ ద బ్యారియర్స్, అండ్ యు ఆర్ ద బ్యారియర్స్, ద స్టూడెంట్స్ ఆర్ ద బ్యారియర్స్. దే షుడ్ make this point enter the brains, and the people should go with a contention that we should complete the anti-tuberculosis treatment with isoniazid. Now paraminosalicylate acid is no more in use, we are using ethambutol. So all these things you will be taught when you go to the pharmacology, when they are dealing with the anti-tuberculosis drugs. So remember, the drugs like sulfanilamide, isoniazid and paraminosalicylate acid for history purpose. So these things will be acted upon by N-acetyl transferase enzyme, and an acetyl-CoA will get attached to this isoniazid. Isonicotinic acid hydrazide is otherwise known as isoniazid. Remember, the full name is isonicotinic acid hydrazide. So acetylated isoniazid will form by the action of N-acetyl transferase enzyme and by the addition of acetyl coenzyme A to isoniazid, isonicotinic acid hydrazide, an anti-tuberculosis drug. It's a bactericidal drug. Remember, the action of bactericidal drugs are more prompt than the bacteriostatic drugs. ఇంట్లో దొంగ కూరేడు అనుకోండి, నలుగురు కలిసి వాడు ఇంట్లో ఆడవాళ్ళందరూ 4 దెబ్బలు కొడితే వాడు కళ్ళు తిరిగి పడిపోయినట్టే ఉంటే అమ్మ చచ్చిపోయాడు అని చెప్పి బయటకు పట్టుకెళ్ళి నిధిలో పడేస్తారు. ఆ రాత్రి అంతా వాడు చల్లటి గాలికి చక్కగా తేరుకొని తెల్లాలు వేసి వెళ్ళిపోయి మరొక 2 ఇల్లు దోచుకొని వెళ్ళిపోతాడు. సో దట్ ఈస్ బ్యాక్టీరియోస్టాటిక్ యాక్షన్. బ్యాక్టీరియోసైడల్ మీన్స్ కిల్లింగ్, దట్స్ ఆల్. న్యూక్లియర్ డెత్ అంతే, అంటే కత్తితో పొడిచేయడం అంతే, చచ్చిపోయాడు. సో వాడు మళ్ళీ లేచి నడిచి వెళ్ళిపోవడం అనేటివన్నీ కుదరం. So bacteriostatic drugs are more pronounced, having the more pronounced action, and we need to depend upon the bactericidal drugs when we are dealing with potentially dangerous infections like tuberculosis, leprosy, and all these things. So we have rifampicin, and we have the streptomycin. In good olden days, we used to give streptomycin, and nowadays we are no more giving streptomycin because it will give a potent side effects of deafness. Most of the people will end up in deafness, but once they are taking, they have taken streptomycin injections for the treatment of tuberculosis in their childhood or in their adolescent age groups. Most of them will go with partial deafness or complete deafness when they become older in age. So nowadays we have rifampicin. The rifampicin capsule, first drug to be taken as anti-tuberculous drugs is rifampicin in the early morning. ఆ రిఫాంపిసిన్ వేసుకున్నాడు అన్న విషయాన్ని వెరిఫై చేయడం కోసం domiciliary treatment of tuberculosis కోసం persons will come to the door to door and ask them whether they have taken their drugs or not. Under direct supervision, ఇంకా వాళ్ళు అడిగితే తీసుకున్నా ఉంటారు కానీ తీసుకోలేదు, అబద్ధం ఆడతారు. అందుకోసం నోట్లో వేసేసి పోతారు వారానికి 2 సార్లు డాట్స్లో. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద ఫెసిలిటీ. అండ్ వేసుకున్నామా లేదా అన్నది తెలియాలంటే after 2-3 hours they will be passing high colored urine ఈ rifampicin వేసుకుంటే. So leave alone all those things. All these things will be taught to you in your second year when you are going to the Department of Pharmacology to learn the therapeutics. And regarding isoniazid, the isoniazid will be eliminated from the body through acetylation, and the elimination product is known as acetylated isoniazid. So acetylation will be facilitated if acetyl coenzyme A is induced and acetyl transferase enzyme is present. రెండు ఇఫ్లు, అన్నిటికీ ఇఫ్లే. బాడీ ఎప్పుడు ఒక మన బానిస కాదు, దాన్ని సవ్యంగా ఉపయోగించుకోవడం కోసం అన్నీ ఉండాలి. సో ఇంట్లో ఎంత ఒబీడియంట్ పర్సన్స్ ఉన్నా వాళ్ళకి కొద్దిసార్లు చెప్తే కోపం వస్తాయి వాళ్ళకి. అలాగే బాడీ కూడా భీష్మించి కూర్చుంటుంది అనమాట. సో వీ షుడ్ ప్రొవైడ్ ఆల్ దీస్ థింగ్స్. Acetyl coenzyme A should be in stock and acetyl transferase should be inducible in the liver. ఇవి రెండు జరిగితే తప్ప acetylation of isoniazid is not made possible. అలా జరగలేదు అనుకోండి, ఏమవుద్ది? Suppose we are taking 300 milligrams of isoniazid every day as anti-tuberculous drug. ఇందులో 100 milligrams ఉండిపోయింది అనుకోండి, సరిగ్గా acetylation జరగలేదు అనుకోండి, మర్నాడు మళ్ళీ మరో టాబ్లెట్ తీసుకున్నప్పుడు ఈ 300తో పాటు మరొక 100 milligrams వచ్చి కూర్చుంటాయి. సో లెఫ్ట్ ఓవర్ 400 milligrams. ఈ 400 milligramsలో మళ్ళీ ఇందులో ఒక 100, పాతది ఒక 100, 200 ఉండిపోతాయి లెఫ్ట్ ఓవర్. మర్నాడు తీసుకునే 300తో ఈ 200 కలిసిపోతే 500. ఇలా రోజు రోజుకి ఒక 100 బ్యాక్లాగ్ వచ్చి మన బాడీలో నిల్వ ఉండిపోతాయి. అలా ఉండిపోవడం వల్ల ఏమవుద్ది? దేర్ విల్ బి టెర్రబుల్ వొమిటింగ్. ఆ మాత్ర చూస్తే చాలు, బాబు మీకు నమస్కారం, అది తప్ప ఇంకేమైనా ఇవ్వండి మింగేస్తాను, బాబు అది మాత్రం మింగమని బలవంతం చేయకండి అని దండం పెట్టేస్తారు వాళ్ళు. ఆ డాట్స్ వాళ్ళు ఇంటికి వెళ్ళి కూర్చొని ఇది వేసుకోవాలండి, మీరు వేసుకోకపోతే మీకు ప్రమాదం అండి, సమాజానికి ప్రమాదం అండి అని ఎంత అరిచి మొత్తుకొనివ్వండి, ఆ ఒక్క మాత్ర కాదండి మిగతా ఏవైనా మింగేస్తామండి అంటారు బాబు. పెద్ద మాత్రలు ఉంటాయి, థాంబుటాలు ఇలాంటివన్నీ పెద్ద టాబ్లెట్స్, అవన్నీ మింగేస్తాం కానీ ఇది చిన్న మాత్రం మింగలేమండి బాబు, నమస్కారం అండి అంటారు అనమాట. సో రిమెంబర్, దీస్ ఆర్ ద థింగ్స్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు ఇన్సిస్ట్ దమ్. అండ్ ఇలా వాళ్ళని బలవంతం పెట్టి మింగించేయలేం కదా, ఏం చేయాలి? స్లో ఎసిటైలేటర్స్ సమాజంలో కొంతమంది ఉంటారు. అందరూ ఒకే స్పీడ్తో ఎసిటైలేషన్ చేయగలుగుతారా? నాట్ పాసిబుల్. ఇట్స్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీబడి టు రన్ ద ఎసిటైలేషన్ రియాక్షన్ విత్ టాప్ స్పీడ్ సో దట్ దే కెన్ ఎలిమినేట్ ద unacted leftover isoniazid from the body after the end of 6 hours. అందుకోసం ఈ స్లో ఎసిటైలేటర్స్ హెల్ప్ చేయడం కోసం ఈ జీనోబయోటిక్ మెటబాలిజం ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ మనకి గైడ్ చేస్తాయి. వీ హ్యావ్ టు కన్వర్ట్ దమ్ ఇంటూ ఫాస్ట్ ఎసిటైలేటర్స్ బై అడ్మినిస్టరింగ్ జస్ట్ ఏ గ్లాస్ ఆఫ్ మజ్జిగ ఇస్తే చాలు, బటర్ మిల్క్. ఒక గ్లాస్ ఆఫ్ బటర్ మిల్క్ ఇవ్వగలిగితే బోల్డ్ అంత ఎసిటైలేషన్ ఫాస్ట్గా జరిగిపోతాయి. సో మంచినీళ్ళతో మింగే బదులు ఐసోనియాజైడ్ మాత్ర, ఐసోనికోటినిక్ యాసిడ్ హైడ్రోజైడ్ మాత్రని ఒక గ్లాస్ ఆఫ్ మజ్జిగతో బటర్ మిల్క్తో మింగండి. ది ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఆఫ్ అన్నెసెసరీ స్లో ఎసిటైలేషన్ విల్ నాట్ అరైజ్. వాళ్ళు మరణం నుంచి వాంతులు పట్టుకోవడం, ఒళ్ళంతా తిప్పేయడం, బాబోయ్ వాంతులు చేస్తున్నాయి ఆ మాత్ర చూస్తే అని అనడం మానుకుంటాడు. So these are the applied aspects of acetylation through N-acetyl transferase, and the products like isoniazid, antituberculous drugs will get eliminated from the body without getting unnecessarily stored up by acetylate in the form of acetylated isoniazid, and it will be excreted through the urine. So this is the given, the graph. You can understand the frequency of individuals 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and INH in plasma in micrograms per ml after 6 hours. 6 hours అయ్యేసరికి చాలా మటుకు క్లియర్ అయిపోతాయి, ఉండిపోతే సంగతి. సో ఫాస్ట్ ఎస్టైలేటర్స్ లో వీ హ్యావ్ ఓన్లీ జస్ట్ 3 hours లోనే ఫాస్ట్ గా ఎస్టైలేట్ అయిపోయి బయటకు వెళ్ళిపోతాయి. స్లో ఎస్టైలేటర్స్ లో కొంత కాంజుగేషన్ జరిగిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ పీక్స్ వస్తాయి. ఈ పీక్స్ అలా వెళ్ళిపోతాయి అన్నమాట. అలాగే sulfanylamide N-acetyl transferase and acetyl-CoA will be converted into acetyl sulfanylamide. Randi. So now comparison of phase 1 and phase 2 reactions. In phase 1, hydrolysis, oxidation, reduction, and in phase 2, conjugation. Hydrophilic nature will be small. Conversion of hydrophilic nature will be attained in small amounts. But in phase 2, everything will be totally converted into hydrophilic nature. And general mechanism, it exposes the functional group, and the consequences result in metabolic activation. And polar compounds will be added to functional groups and facilitate excretion. So reversal order of phases: isoniazid, acetylation phase 2, hydrolysis phase 1, isonicotinic acid, and excretion. Now food coloring agents and complications. Rhodamine B. So rhodamine B, we will be taking so many of the food products in our diet. We are lured to take the compounds by the color that is given to that compound. ఆ కళ్ళకి మోసం చేసే కలర్స్ ఆ ప్రోడక్ట్స్ ఉండడం వలన వాటిని తినాలి అనిపిస్తుంటుంది మనకి. సో rhodamine B is the coloring agent that is present in butter, cheese, ice creams, kulfi, icings, sugar coated anise, supari, candies, pastries, peas, cookies, toffees, sweet drops, custards, barfi, laddu, jalebi, halwa, rasgulla, and salted products. ఇందులో ఏం తినలేదు మనం, అన్ని తిన్నాం. ఈ పాటికి 2 టన్నులు మన కడుపులో ఉంటాయి. ఈ టన్నులన్నీ ఏం చేస్తాయో చూస్తారు ఇప్పుడే. So it causes, rhodamine B is the compound that causes pathological lesions in the kidney, spleen, and liver. ఏదో benign lesions అయితే పర్వాలేదు, pathological lesions చచ్చి ఊరుకుంటాం కాంప్లికేషన్స్ తో. ది ఏషియన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ గ్యాస్ట్రోఎంట్రాలజీ ఇన్ హైదరాబాద్ అలాంటి చోట్లకి వెళ్ళి 8 లక్షల నుంచి 12 లక్షలు ఖర్చు పెట్టుకొని తిరిగి రావాలి. బ్రతుకుతామా? నో గ్యారంటీ. సో రిమెంబర్, దిస్ rhodamine B is the coloring agent that will be present in so many number of things that we consume just for the sake of fancy. తినకపోతే చచ్చిపోతామా? అక్కర్లేదు, కానీ తినేస్తాం. So they cause pathological lesions in kidney, spleen, and liver. And second one, orange 2, aramine, blue VRS, Sudan 3. They cause also the same pathological lesions in kidney, spleen, and liver. So remember, rhodamine B, orange 2, aramine, blue VRS, Sudan 3. These are all the potentially dangerous food coloring agents. And malachite green color లో చక్కగా ఒకసారి పెళ్లి భోజనాలకు వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు ఏదో వెజిటబుల్స్ అన్ని ఫ్రెష్గా వండి, వెజిటబుల్స్ ఏవైనా వండిన తర్వాత ఫ్రై చేసిన తర్వాత గ్రీన్గా కనపడతాయా? చచ్చినా కనపడవు. అవి ఏదో బ్రౌన్గా అయిపోవడం, బ్లాక్గా అయిపోవడం, ఇంకేదో అయిపోతాయి. కానీ గ్రీన్గా చూపించి ఫ్రెష్గా ఫ్రై చేసింది అని చెప్పి పడేస్తుంటారు. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ దే ఆర్ యాడింగ్ malachite green that is present in juices, squashes, cordials, crushes, syrups, sherbets, ready to serve beverages, fruit pulps, soft drinks, and alcoholic beverages. ఇన్నింటిలో malachite green కలిసి ఉంటుంది. ఏదైనా గ్రీన్గా కనపడితే మీరు పెద్దవాళ్ళు అయిన తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు చెప్పిన వాటిలో ఏదైనా కనపడితే వాటిని నమస్కారం పెట్టి ఆ ఇచ్చిన వాడి చేతిలో పెట్టేసి ఇంటికి వెళ్ళిపోండి. సో వాట్ ఆర్ దే? Malachite green is present in juices, squashes, cordials, crushes, syrups, sherbets, ready-to-serve beverages, fruit pulp, soft drinks, and alcoholic beverages. Most important, they cause increase in the incidence of tumors of the lung, tumors of the breast, tumors of the ovary, tumors of the liver, and causes teratogenic abnormalities in the eyes, bones, skin, and lungs. ఇంకేం కావాలి? ఇంతకన్నా ఇంకేమైనా జబ్బులు ఉన్నాయా ప్రపంచంలో? సో citrus red is another one. Citrus red 3 is a coloring material. It is present in dehydrated vegetables. చక్కగా ఎల్లో కలర్ బంగారం రంగు వేసి చక్కగా నోటి కమ్మగా ఉండేలాంటి తయారు చేసి పెడుతూ ఉంటారు. అలా నోట్లో వేసేసుకొని తినేస్తూ ఉంటారు చాలా మంది, పప్పులు తింటున్నట్టు. సో citrus red 3 is present in that coloring agent is present in the dehydrated vegetables and fruit preserves, candied and crystallized fruits and peels. Most dangerous. They cause marked increase in morbidity, mortality, and they cause increased susceptibility in subcutaneous infections, culminating in malignant growths of the skins. Orange 1 is another one. It's present in canned foods and vegetables, sauces, ketchups, tomato products, salads, and dressings. And they cause nothing but catharsis. Catharsis అంటే లూజ్ మోషన్స్. అవేవో తినేసి వెళ్ళిపోవడం, ఆ తర్వాత మీటింగ్కి అటెండ్ అవ్వకపోవడం, బాత్రూంలో కూర్చోవడం, పర్గేషన్, వాంతులు విరేచనాలు. This is the problem with orange 1. It is present in canned fruits and vegetables, sauces, ketchups, tomato products, salads, dressings, and they cause catharsis, purgation. Congo red. Congo red is added to the meat. మీట్ని వండిన తర్వాత ఎర్రగా ఎక్కడైనా కనపడుతుందా? అది ఏదో బ్రౌన్ కలర్, ఇంకేదో చింతపిక్క రంగు ఏదో మారిపోవాలి, కానీ అది రెడ్గా కనబడింది అనుకో, it is added with Congo red. Remember, the coloring agent is mostly added to the meat to present it as a red color one. ఎర్రగా ఉండే మీట్ ఉన్నట్టే కనబడాలని. సో హాట్ డాగ్స్, నేపాల్లో ఉండేవాళ్ళు హాట్ డాగ్స్ సర్వ్ చేస్తారట. హ్యాంబర్గర్స్, they will cause hydrocephalus to the child. If a pregnant mother consumes it and the baby inside the mother's womb will develop hydrocephalus. Even పెద్దవాళ్ళలోనూ కూడా hydrocephalus develop అవడానికి this is the one cause. Remember, the coloring agent Congo red that is present in the meat, hot dogs and hamburgers cause hydrocephalus in the mother's womb, for the fetus in the mother's womb, and for the adults those are living and consuming this. So hydronephrosis is another problem, and ocular defects is most dangerous problem. మెటానిల్ ఎల్లో, అన్నిటికీ ఎల్లో కలర్ వేసిస్తారు. చక్కగా సాఫ్ట్ డ్రింక్స్ లోని, స్వీట్స్ లోని, అన్నిటిలోని ఎల్లో ఉంటుంది. సో దీని వలన ఈ ఎల్లో కలర్ స్వీట్స్, డ్రింక్స్ తాగడం వలన టెస్టిక్యులర్ డీజనరేషన్ ఇన్ మేల్స్ జరుగుతుంది. అలాంటి వాళ్ళు పెళ్లి చేసుకుంటే పిల్లలే లేరు, పిల్లలే పుట్టరు. అలాంటి వాళ్ళు పాపం ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇన్సెమినేషన్, డోనర్ ఇన్సెమినేషన్ ఏదో బాధలు పడి లక్షలు ఖర్చు పెట్టాలి పాపం. సో రిమెంబర్, all the people should preserve their functions by avoiding all these things, and especially all the boys should avoid methanol yellow, which is present in soft drinks and sweets, which causes testicular degeneration in males. Lead chromate, most dangerous, present in ice fruits and fruit colors. Lead chromate కొంచెం బ్రౌన్ కలర్లో ఉండి చింతపిక్క రంగులో ఉండేది. ఏవో అవేమిటవి, అదేంటో రసగుల్లాస్, అవి కొంచెం నల్లగా ఉండే రసగుల్లాస్ పెడుతూ ఉంటారు. నల్లగా ఉండే రసగుల్లాస్ కొంచెం ఇలా ఓపెన్ చేస్తే చిన్న రెడ్ కలర్ కనబడుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ యాడెడ్ విత్ lead chromate. So lead chromate is present in ice fruits and fruit colors. They cause profound anemia. ఎంత తింటున్నా ఇవన్నీ, ఏమి ఐరన్ కంటైనింగ్ ఫుడ్స్ తింటున్నా సరే ఎనీమియా. అండ్ దే కాస్ అబార్షన్స్, రిపిటేటివ్ అబార్షన్స్. 30 ఏళ్ళ దాకా మ్యారేజ్ చేసుకోకుండా బోర్డంత చదువులు చదివి ఫైనల్లీ we end up in repeated abortions if you are in the habit of consuming lead chromate in fruits and fruit colors. And sometimes it will end up in paralysis. 30 ఏళ్ళ దాకా బాగుండే మనిషి పెళ్లి చేసుకున్న తర్వాత పెరాలసిస్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోయి అలాగ పనికిరాని వాళ్ళ బెడ్ రిడన్ అయిపోయి ఉంటాడు. Mental retardation and accumulation of lead in the body and blood finally leads to the brain damage ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇన్ ద చిల్డ్రన్లో బ్లడ్ అక్యుములేట్ అవుతున్న కొద్దీ వాళ్ళు రెస్ట్లెస్ అయిపోతూ ఉంటారు. కత్తి పట్టుకొని బ్లేడ్ పట్టుకొని తిరుగుతూ ఉంటారు. కనబడిన వాళ్ళందరినీ కోపం వచ్చినట్టు కోసేస్తూ ఉంటారు, పొడిచేస్తూ ఉంటారు. బాబోయ్ వీడికి ఎంత కోపం పెట్టరా అనుకుంటారు. తర్వాత వాడు ఫైనల్లీ he will become a brain damaged person in children. So remember, initial కొంచెం యాక్టివిటీ కనబడుతున్నా ఇవన్నీ తింటున్నప్పుడు అవన్నీ it leads to unnecessary brain damage in children. Remember the lead poisoning. Lead line will be seen on the teeth. So thank you very much for carefully hearing all these things. Remember to apply this sense to all of you, all of in future. Thank you.
అయిపోయింది.